That's it for the news. Now, just ahead of the national holiday, the Muslim community was raising concern after members of the Somali Canadian Society of Edmonton received a hateful and racist voicemail. Many criticized the slow and lacking response from the Edmonton police in this incident. Joining us now to speak about this and more is Brother Muhammad Accord, the CEO of Takalusa Institute, a nonprofit corporation that aims to research, educate, and advocate change in social policy. Welcome to the show, Brother Muhammad. It's great to have you here with us today.
Thank you. I'm very welcome, sister.
Brother Muhammad, it's definitely very frightening to open up your phone and hear hateful messages that seem targeted being repeated at you. How common are incidents like these in Edmonton?
We're not surprised something like this one will happen. We have been having a hateful attack on our community last 10 years. And before that, we have been having concern the level of services that we receive in Edmonton Police Service. So it's not surprise to hear that, but it only every day reinforce the issue that we have, concern that we have with the Edmonton Police Service.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've said before that the police response was slow and lacking, but can you give us some more specifics? What was the police response to this incident?
They didn't even respond. They did not want the community call 911. They didn't even respond that. So that's the level of services that we're receiving from Edmonton Police Service.
Mm-hmm. And I believe they contacted the president of the society afterwards, saying that they would act on it and investigate on what happened. Is this likely to happen, and what will be the outcome of this?
It's just a response after the fact when the president of Canadian Somali Society released, he issued a press release. That's the fact that they respond to that. But before that, there is an incident has been happening when the community call the police. They respond. Sometimes they even sarcastically respond to the victims. When, for example, sisters was attacked in the downtown by somebody, she called 911 and he was humiliated by the person who received her call. The other time is the lady was attacked with the knife, and she called 911 and the police show up midnight. And this happened she called 2:00 in the morning, but they respond at midnight. So that's the level of death. And this is not the only issue. There is almost 70, almost 80 homicide within the community that police could not, most of them, they didn't respond. So you can see the issue as a tree versus the forest. So there is a forest, not individual cases, but there is a bigger picture that shows us what the level that we expect from the Edmonton Police Service.
And I'll touch on that, on how it's a wider problem and how it's very long living. But I want to ask, what effect does this have on the Muslims that live in the area?
It's very frightening. Right now, we are our own. We advise the sisters that display Muslim attire. They have to be vigilant. So we are not expecting as a level of service that the other community, especially the white, receive from the Edmonton Police Services. So we really have a concern, but there's nothing we can do right now.
Mm-hmm. What should the police response have been?
Very slow, indifferent, sometimes sarcasm, indifferent. Sometimes they brutalize our youth. They profile us. They do everything that on the book. And the challenge is we have been raising this issue, but there's no leadership, either from the police or from the city or the police commission. So the police are not responding to any calls that the community. They're not gonna see. They don't see that as shareholders or the citizen of Edmonton. That's how we see that.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the justifications or even excuses that the Edmonton police gave in reaction to this incident is that it was a holiday and that calls for services are prioritized. What do you say in response to this comment?
That's indeed different because police work overtime. They work during the holidays or even in the midnight. So for us, our expectation is very low. So for us, whether they show up or not, we still show that the level of service we're receiving. But for us, the expectation is very low. So we're not expecting them they're gonna be respond to our calls any sooner or they care anyway.
Mm-hmm. Now, it was mentioned that the voicemail did not contain a direct threat, though it was filled with hateful messages. What then would you have liked the police to do in response to this situation, especially considering that it was the Somali Muslim community being affected?
I think this call, my organization, whenever I make advocate for the community, I always receive a hate crime calls. But for us, there is an urgency issue than getting hate calls. We already have a hate attack. We have a level of we have a concern about safety and security in our community. Those are more priority than receiving the hate. But the challenges is there were events happening, and that's where the hate crime was targeted. So we will have a concern about what may happen in that event if somebody will attack. So it shows that they didn't show up. So that means if that person threat materialize, the police will never be there for us.
Mm-hmm. Now, you've mentioned that this issue is only a small tree in the forest, and you alluded to how murders were also, or homicides were also part of this issue. Can you expand on that? What does the forest look like?
The forest there look like we have outstanding cases, almost 100. Very few of them were solved, and even those one were not properly investigated. We have a hate crime attack on our women, our places of worship. We have hate crimes. We have a profile by the police, street check. The brutality of arbitrary detention of our youth. We have a pipeline from the school to the jails that they prey on the youth at the high school, and they make a criminal so that they can harass them in the street. So it's a multiple. Also, they did not included or included hiring. The hiring. They're not included in our community or even included in Muslim community. So it's a variety of things. For example, the police services as well as the police commission are not reflective changes happen in the community. So we're still guests to the system. The system is designed, and also we have a racist-led organization called Police Association, which advocate for not be disciplined by the police who violate the right of our citizen. Mm-hmm. Also, the level of the police reform is outdated. It's a variety of issues that forest to show us we need some reform, and we don't see that is coming. Even we appeal to the province, but it's all about we don't have a political capital that enable us to be seen as a stakeholders of the society.
Exactly. And as you said, the issue ranges back at least 10 years. And again, this whole issue can connect to a forest rather than just a single tree. So if there's so much change that needs to be done to correct the systematic discrimination, to correct all the injustices that's happening right now, or that's being faced by the Somali community in particular, where do you suggest the changes begin?
It began that right now we are looking internally as a community. so that as a Somali community, we have to come together and face where, because in the past we've been engaging with the police, but finally we realized that's not where we're supposed to go put our energy. Right now we have to look as a political, we have to organize and target our energy toward where we can make changes, which is the political. We need a political leadership from the city or the province. So we're looking internally. So right now we are working on those issues. So right now there is two brothers from the community running for seat in two biggest party. We're hoping one of them will be MLA, as you say, MPP in Ontario. Mm-hmm. That's where we are focusing our energy, which means we have to have a political capital in order to make the changes necessary. But barking at shouting at the police won't do it, because police only implement what the political guys tell them to do it. So
and that was very well said. Thank you so much, Father Mohammed, for joining us today and telling us more about the issue. It was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I'm looking forward, and I'm really appreciate that you're interested in our issue.